So this is Scales in the Sky, Falcom music from East to Trails and More. And Panel Channel was kind of like an in-joke we had in our Discord. We all just loved it and had fun with it. So these are the people who originally presented and worked on the panel, including me. Floofy is the administrator of Endless History, also the website person for the Geofront fan translation group, and does a lot of translations for official Falcom stuff. Ribos is the owner of the Discord server, also a Geofront member. Mr. JRPG is into JRPG games and helped create the music samples used in this. Bumpmaster is me. I'm pretty active in the community, collect a lot of the stuff, and I wrote the Trails from Zero guide on GameFAQs. Pasicon, he's into old school RPGs, and does stuff in the Falcom community. And that's music samples. So Falcom has a huge library of music, so these are selections and clips and doesn't even come close to the stuff they have. So there's only maybe 30-second clips in here. Yeah, not all the games are representative, and this is not a definitive complete list. I think last I checked there's over 5,000 songs between all the soundtracks, arrangement albums, and everything. They make a lot. So what is Falcom? They're a Japanese game studio. They kind of started in the early PC era, developing for PC 88, 98, Sharp X68000, I think that's how you pronounce it. And they're just really well known for RPG games and great music. And they're team-focused developers with strong creative division, unifying games and series. That top left photo is Ys. Then you have Zwei, Gurumin, and Tokyo Xanadu. Falcom music, lots of great melodies, themes, and many different genres and moods. And starting with Trails in the Sky, they started to have more like themes that evolve and grow or reused as in different songs. They balance what sounds great in-game with what sounds great outside, and they've been doing this for over 35 years. So why is it so special? Just super catchy. And they were one of the first companies to release soundtracks on cassette tapes back when those were a thing. So they were kind of a pioneer in that era. Just excellent instruments and musicians. And they did really well with synth, MIDI, and other stuff. These are some of the current and past musicians. Yuzo Koshiro, you might have heard of. He's done like Streets of Rage and other stuff, but he used to work at Falcom. Yukihiro Jindo is a arranger. He's done a lot of cool stuff. I mean, all of these. Ryo Yonemitsu was an early Falcom composer. Yeah, I'll get more into these a little bit later. So they have their own in-house band called JDK Band, and everyone wanted to know what it stood for. So during an interview that Floofy did with Kondo, the president of Falcom, this is what he had to say about it.
あれは教えてもらえないです。 名前を付けたのは創業者の今の加藤会長なんですけれど、聞いたらなんか知らない方がいいこともあるとか言われました株主総会でも質問されたんですけれど、僕も答えられないんですよね。よくスタッフが冗談でこうジャストディレクテッドバイカットみたいな
So yeah, no one really knows what it stands for. I think in one of the early liner notes there was jumping dynamite kids, but so that was one of the rumors. It should also be noted that there's Sound Team JDK, which is their in-house sound team, and JDK Band, which is the live performing segment. They're different groups. So how do you get into Falcom music? Well, the best way is just to play the games. Almost all of them are, well, a lot of their recent ones are available now, and we're finally getting localizations for Crossbell. Official. But yeah, most everything is on Steam now. The whole Trail series is there. Nayuta's coming. Pretty much all of the East games are. I mean, this was not the case 2 or 3 years ago. So, another way is you could buy it. They have, there's digital sites. It's all on Spotify. It's one of the cool things about ordering from their store is they throw in little extra bonuses, and they've heavily revamped it. It used to be where you send an email with what you want, and you even sent your like credit card info and everything there. It was kind of sketchy, but it worked, and that's how I got a lot of my collection. Mora.jp is useful for if you wanted high quality lossless, like 24 kilohertz. Not just for Falcom, but for anything. But yeah, it's all easily and readily available. Oh, and then, yeah, there's the streaming. Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play. And there's even a, if you've looked up Falcom Music before, most likely you've run into Falcom Music channel. And it's all available there too. That's not an official channel, but it's actually not illegal either because, and I'll come back to that, because of their music policy, which is very different compared to most other companies. Essentially, if you're not making money off of it, you can basically use it in any project or thing you want, as long as you credit them. So, live performances, concerts, background music, festivals, BGM, and a radio thing. And I guess more specifically, it's if you have to pay to get access to it kind of thing. So like you couldn't put it in an ad on cable television, but public television would be fine. And there's a whole slew of other rules. Yeah, no rental fees, specific copyright things. You cannot be, and there's different prohibitions, but yeah, they're basically with, hey, if you like our music and want to use it, go for it, which is really unusual in the industry. And there's also a bunch of fan arrangements, fan communities, large variety of remixed covers, arrangements, doujin and indie. I'm not sure what these are, but and yeah, this one thing I've always wanted at MAGFest is live performances of Falcom music. It would be such a great thing to see. So now I'm going to go back to this. One of the things that's kind of weird, or I guess not kind of weird, but different, is they also don't directly credit their composers. Instead, they credit the team, and then they say who's a part of the team, but not individual tracks, because they kind of want Falcom to be like a group that puts it out with no individual above one another kind of thing. So a group of fans came together and created this composer breakdown project where they tried to figure out who composed what track. And there's a spreadsheet, a public spreadsheet that you can view, and this thing is massive. So the general idea was Nayuta actually had the composer credits accidentally left in the game, so people hacked it, found these codes, and they knew who composed what track for Nayuta. Then using that as a base, they guessed other tracks from other games. So let me, and they have like every game on here. Is it? And there's a whole slew of information. Like if you ever wanted in-depth information about the composers or the music or just big FAQ, this is a huge, huge thing. Oh, and this another thing that happened was there was a big leak thing that happened where someone anonymously leaked the credits for a bunch of games, and they believe that it's 100%, or they believe it's credible because of how it conforms to other things they knew through like interviews and Twitter questions and other random notes and information. And it was a big deal. This happened in, I want to say, January 1st of 2019. But before that, this is kind of an example of like how they guessed who composed what. This is Unisuga, and this shows some of his, he has a little thing he puts in each of, or most of his songs that identifies the song to him. You'll hear it. So as you can tell, like they used stuff like this to guess the composers. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but let's see. So yeah, if I pull up here's Dinosaur, random game, they'll have the people and their guesses and the names of the tracks and other notes they have, and they have like every game on here, I think, that Falcom composed. So if you're interested in composers or anything, this is a huge resource that I recommend checking out. Just search Falcom composer breakdown, and it should be easy to find. Alright, so to show their rich history with music. So this is the main title screen from the very first Ys game. Now, these are all the different versions of that song on the games on these various consoles. That's why there's like a total of 5,000 songs. It's crazy. And this is just that one song. And this is not counting arrangements either. This is just the original Ys and the original song on all these different consoles. Oh, and here's all the arrangements. It's crazy how far this song has, how many times this song has been rearranged or reused. All right, now it's time for some other actual samples. Oop. This is a song from Azteca 2, one of their really early NES Famicom games. Yeah, kind of early, kind of catchy. This is from Legacy of the Wizard, also known as, I think, Legend, no, not Legend of Heroes, Dragon Slayer 4 Drazel Family, that's it. Kind of a catchy upbeat with that square wave in there. Then you have Sorcerion, which had many, many expansions and versions. A couple expansions here. Really bands performing songs. One of the ending themes. Up next is Star Trader. This is this one. Very favorite arrangements. The classic Go Fight theme. And then we finally get to Ys Book 1 and 2. This is the Turbo CD version. I guess what I should mention is the PC Engine in Japan and the TurboGrafx 16 here. And what's notable about that is it had what's called Redbook audio, which had higher quality than what was out at the time. And we get to the first Legend of Heroes, also the CD Engine version. Then we get to Ys 3, also the PC Engine version. More classic songs. Ys Origin and Felghana is basically the remake of this game. So, and what? Yeah, that's what I said, didn't I? I said. Okay, my bad. All right, Ys 4, Dawn of Ys. Which I believe there's technically two versions of Ys 4, neither of which were developed in-house. And Memories of Celceta is technically Ys 4, but it's not really a remake of the original two. I guess it's more of a reimagining. Thoughtful Mail. This is a fun one that was made for the Sega CD. Now we get to Brandish. The first one is actually officially localized by Xseed, I think, for the Vita. And then Brandish 2 got a fan translation, not by Geofront, but by some other community members. Alright, now we get to the first, kind of like a transition. Gagarv Trilogy, I highly, highly recommend. Even though I've only played the first one, I still intend to play the others, but it's kind of like prototype Kiseki. This is a fun little jingle. And technically, all three of these are officially translated by Konami on the PSP, but the translations are not very good, unfortunately. And they're also on PC, but only in Japanese, and it's like they're completely different versions, essentially. Another fun little theme. Alright, pay close attention to this next one, see if it sounds like something familiar. And that was basically Silver Will, which I'll get to in a bit. This next one is played in-game by the main characters, and a lot of the soundtrack is basically like that, from what I've been told. Now we get to Ys 5. This one has not been officially translated, unfortunately, nor has it had a remake. But last time Kondo appeared at Anime Expo, he's said he's been asked that a lot, so maybe we'll get it. Also has a pretty good soundtrack. It's also interesting to note that there's technically two versions of Ys 5. They made a Ys 5 and then a Ys 5 Expert, which is a harder version. I guess people complained it was too easy or something. And then we get to Zwei and Zwei 2. Yeah. Nice peaceful little theme. Also games I really need to play. And both of these are officially translated by Exceed for Steam. What's interesting is Y2 is apparently such a flop for Falcom that it kind of pushed them away from PC for a long time. So now we get to Ys 6. Also has a fantastic soundtrack. Come on, I want to hear bands play this stuff at MAGFest. Yeah. Oh, and Ernst, another one of my favorite guys. Alright, now we get to probably where most people will recognize the original Trails in the Sky Trilogy. And here's Silver Will, the all-time classic. Trials in the Sky was my first Falcom game, and that's what really got me into the company and the franchise. And this is what kind of started like the reusing of leitmotifs. This is basically the Silver Will theme, but slowed down. And this is a classic from the third game. Next we have Gurumin, which is kind of a niche game, but this is kind of a reference to the name of this song is a reference to the opening theme for Ys 2, to make the end of battle, but to make the end of digging. Now we get to Oath and Felghana, which is a remake of Ys 3. Oh, Xanadu next. Another game that was officially localized by Xseed for Steam and GOG. And then we get to Ys Origin, another game with a really, really good soundtrack. This is the boss battle theme. Alright, Ys 1 and 2 Chronicles, which is another version of Ys 1 and 2. Then E7, which was on PSP. Well, and actually it got a PC port too by Xseed. And now we get to the Crossbell duology. Props to the Geofront team for localizing this and then getting that official deal with Misa. I can't believe that's happened. Also, hot take, but I probably prefer the Evolution versions of the Crossbell OSTs. Not the Sky Trilogy, but Crossbell. Oh, now we get to Nayuta. This one is also one of my favorite soundtracks. And then Memories of Celceta, as I said, is kind of a remake, reimagining of Ys 4. And then now we get to Trails of Cold Steel. Fantastic soundtracks for these two. Tokyo Xanadu. And East 8. Basically, any promo or cover art for Sen 4 is a spoiler, but I can still show some music. In East 9, I was going to add some stuff, but I actually haven't played East 9, and this was kind of a last-minute thing I was doing anyway, so just imagine a song is there. All right, that was... Now I'm going to end with this amazing JDK band video. This is Yeast 2's opening theme.
ダムの塔が沈黙しました。いかがいたしましょうか。面白い。あとの彼らがどこまでやれる。見てみるとしよう。承知いたしました。
In all its cheesy glory. So yeah.
I write a lot of essays for school.
Yeah, no. Okay. One thing that I just remembered. If you guys are familiar, or actually, I'll just play this first and see if it reminds you of anything. I think that's the one I want. Yeah.
Oh shit.
So, the final boss theme of Brandish 2. Figured it out. This is actually the inspiration for Megalovania. Toby Fox, the creator of Undertale, is known to be a huge Brandish 2 fan, and he's purposely said he used this track as an inspiration. Alright, so are there any questions?
I didn't actually watch it at all, but the Ys anime,
Yeah.
I don't know how it correlates to the games, like it covers any of the games or anything, but does Falcom have anything to do with the music for that?
I'm honestly not sure, because I know there's a... Yeah, but it may not be by them, because I know there's a Trails in the Sky OVA, too.
Gotcha. Because reason for asking for that, too, I think it's from Ys 1, the song The Morning Glow. I think that's from Ys 1.
Yeah, that sounds right.
There's a version of that also has vocals that's from the anime, I believe. So that's why I was wondering if it was just actually Falcom or just, you know.
I'm not sure, because I know the Evolution soundtracks, I think, were outsourced. Those weren't done by Falcom themselves either, so I don't know off the top of my head.
Gotcha.
Anything else? What? When am I playing Zwei? I don't know. Admittedly, I still have a lot of Ys games to play, too. 7 was the most recent one I finished, so I still have Celceta and 8.
Those are good.
Yeah, I still need to finish Sen 4 too, so. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure I will. My name is Bumpmaster from the bump system of Ys 1 and 2, so. Anything else? Yeah. I haven't listened to the soundtracks to those yet, so I like to hear the songs in-game first. But yeah, I don't know if I'm planning to run this again next year, because usually our group does a new Falcom panel every year, but because of I was the only one here, and yeah, and due to time constraints, I was just like, I'm just going to run this one again.
Thank you.
No problem. All right. Thank you.